piano and top scene. Andre has brought a plant into the table.
Plantita is here.
Why? Because
Gotta get planted in a church.
Hey,
Get plant.
Get
be planted.
Welcome to the Grayspace.
What's up?
This is like our 50th take. Okay, let's do this. So, we wanted to start conversations on things we thought were being spoken about. But before we get into today's episode, meet the team, meet the squad. I'm Favor. Hello.
I'm Princess.
You gotta raise your hand, everyone. Do what I did. No, like when you introduce yourself.
So weird.
Okay, go. What's
My
your
name's
name?
Gio.
My name is Paul.
I'm Andre.
Oh
And
wow,
this
cool like that.
is the
Wow.
Grayspace.
Grayspace.
Okay, cool. What's today's episode about, pal?
So today we're gonna be talking about the perfect Christian.
That sounds a lot
Who
like
is
me.
a perfect Christian?
Why you look so confused?
So what do you guys think about that title?
The perfect Christian.
Perfect Christian.
Sound.
We can start with the things that growing up we couldn't do as
Yeah.
Christians. For me,
Misconceptions.
yeah, some misconceptions. But this actually happened though. Like I was told I couldn't watch Pokemon and Harry Potter, and so
That's so
sorry, mom. I actually would sneak in and watch Pokemon, but I wasn't allowed. What about you guys? Even with music.
Yo, I could relate to Andre. As a kid, I wasn't allowed to play those Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually bought some, but my mom burned it down. Mom, I love you so much. I know you're in heaven. I know you're in heaven, but I love you, mom. And what else? I love rock music, and I love hip hop. So I wasn't allowed to listen to that much because there's like it's very loud
Yeah.
and there's growling and stuff. But
What type of music you listen to?
Rah!
Oh,
Oh, like metal.
metal.
Or like
Yeah.
rock,
I
yeah.
mean, just alternative because there's like screams.
Yeah.
no, that's so true with the music. I love rap music, love hip hop. I think culture's beautiful. But growing up, it was always like it's the devil's music or, I know some people think like being Christian you can't listen to that type
Yeah.
of music, which, discernment.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Up until today, actually, some of that still happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you guys?
What? I was allowed.
She
Yeah, I was
basically
gonna
had
say,
amazing
I was
parents.
gonna say,
Princess was like,
Sorry, but no.
I can't relate to any of you people. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, what was I not allowed? Well, of course, like the basics. Like
What is the basics?
Can't drink, can't smoke. But actually,
she was young, guys.
She was young. Same.
At 3 years old,
So, do your parents allow you to drink at like 5 years old? Here, son, take a shot of
no,
tequila.
like I wanted to try like smoking, and then I
At
asked her permission. No, not
5 years old.
Like, not growing up. Not growing up.
Oh, she's
Like,
an adult now.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
already in college,
Yeah.
and then my friends were. Anyway, we're not gonna name.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then like I asked my mom if I could. I was like, mommy, try. And then she was like, yeah, go. You're curious and stuff.
Cool,
but then when I was there already, I was like, I don't want to do it because I might get addicted. So like,
Oh, okay.
That's nice though. I think that your parents were just like, yeah.
That's
That's really
actually
cool.
really great. Like the
I mean, don't.
the
We're not endorsing.
No, yeah.
We're
No, I
not
think it's
endorsing.
great. No, the amount of trust that your mom
Yeah,
has in you.
Yeah.
It's
That
up
is
to
a
you
great.
to find out.
Yeah, because there's some. I mean, this is on parenting already, but like,
We're not parents.
We're not parents yet, guys.
None
No,
of us.
but
None of us.
I mean,
But
we
like-
don't know about you,
No.
but everyone else.
No, but like some Christian parents can be like really strict and hard on us. And that's why they're like, oh, don't watch Harry Potter, don't watch Pokemon, don't listen to rap music because it's bad, rock music, whatever it is. But I think it's great when your parents give you a space to grow and they show genuine trust in you and they're not like, all right, no.
That's true. That's good.
Yeah.
What
I
do you have?
am on the other end of this conversation. I grew up in church, but not as a Christian.
Yeah.
not in this type of community. So I was allowed playing the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, watching Pokemon, watching a lot of stuff. So this is a good conversation to have because I haven't been, restricted to these types of things,
Yeah.
and so I want to hear you guys talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about let's start with boundaries. I think a lot of being Christian, there's a lot of boundaries. There's a lot of rules. We have a lot of rules. Like you can't do this, you can't do that. I hope you guys are old enough so we can say weird things, words that you don't say when you're 10. But there are lots of boundaries that come with being Christian. Like don't drink, don't smoke. And I guess how has that played into your life, or what conversations you guys have had with friends, or
Well, when I hear boundaries, I could just, get reminded of what pastors have mentioned before. That, boundaries aren't meant to limit, they are meant to protect. So for example, there are stuff for example, you can't drink or you can't smoke. Why? Because of course they just really want you to be protected. Especially if they don't know who you're with or what. How will they know if you are protected if you get drunk or something like that? I'm not saying that it's fine to get drunk, but then stuff like that goes through the minds of the parents, just your protection, just what's good for you. So I really believe that it's good that we're talking about boundaries and stuff. So how about you guys? You have anything to...
Picking up from what you were sharing, how boundaries protect. But I think there's some boundaries that are placed that are just there because of the culture of
that's true.
religion. That doesn't necessarily mean it's there to protect you. It's just there because that's what we're so used to.
It's tradition.
It's tradition already. And if you kind of question why am I doing this? Is this let's say for me, growing up in a Baptist school, I had to wear black leather shoes, black pants, and then a belt, and always tuck in my polo. And I couldn't. We had a 6-inch rule with girls.
Same.
Because apparently, if you're too close, it's just
too much.
Yeah, it's temptation and everything.
So it's like a pandemic.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, wait a second. Is what I'm wearing, is that there to protect me? What? I don't wear this on a normal basis. I just wear jeans and sneakers and all of that. And sometimes boundaries are there to protect you, but then there are also some boundaries where you question, is this something that's just done based on tradition, or is it really based on what God has spoken in the Bible? And I think that's what we need to ask ourselves. But so I had to wear and dress up a certain way. The girls had to wear really long skirts and closed-toe shoes, and they couldn't wear the things with the straps on them, because apparently the shoulders will
guys are really into shoulders.
I feel when it becomes more important, the outfit and stuff becomes more important than for example, a person going inside of church, you can't go inside of church because of what you're wearing. It's I feel that's where the boundary gets, gets, what do you call this? You have to explain it more, or to the person, okay, this is where we kind of jump over the quote unquote boundary or something. That what if that person doesn't have other clothes? Are you saying that that's more important than that person having that opportunity to be able to get connected with these God's kind of people and stuff? So for me, that's where it is for me, the boundaries with the clothes.
For me, it is important for us to have this conversation because when we were younger, we didn't have the chance to actually speak about it, or we didn't have someone to talk to about it. Right now, I didn't know that you weren't allowed to watch Pokemon, and I was experiencing the same thing during this time.
Yeah.
And it's great that we can talk about this right now because sometimes there are rules and there are boundaries that hinder us from getting to know Christ in a deeper sense. And sometimes it's more it's when you're limited to something and you don't fully understand why and it doesn't make sense. But you want to do it more.
You get curious.
You get curious about it some more. If there's no proper education about drinking, they just enforce the rules. Don't drink.
Yeah.
You don't know the why.
You don't know the why
Behind
behind the
the
what.
what.
So you're just gonna, okay, why? So
You have
it
to
will-
find out by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Because-
I'm just being real here. Like, you know, sometimes of course, like what Princess said, there are rules that are meant to protect you, but it should be also explained.
Yeah.
That's why
Exactly.
I love that we're
Education.
talking about it right now, because if it's not explained, you know, I'll just be curious about it growing up. And parang if you're limited to do something, and parang okay, I'm more curious about it. The more we talk about rules, the more curious you are about it. And I love what Pastor Brian said. I remember what he said. He said, the church shouldn't be an enforcer of rules, but an outpost of grace. So we shouldn't be like a police, like about stuff, like parang, okay, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that. And I think that leads to people being turned off with everything that we're doing. Parang with church, okay, I have to act this a certain way, and I have to parang change myself before I can go in.
Yeah.
So parang what you said was very beautiful, because it limits you to encounter God.
Yeah.
Parang it restricts you to encounter God. So
Yeah. I just want to add to that. I think when rules are just so enforced and become the main thing, it becomes counterproductive,
Yeah.
because in the long run,
Yeah.
it's just gonna make people want to run away from the rules even more, and just live a life completely in the opposite direction. But then when you have rules, but then you're also explaining why you do it, and
Yeah.
you establish a healthy relationship
That's right.
as to why those rules are set, why those boundaries are set. It makes you understand it more. And I'm not just speaking just like purely from head knowledge. Like I've had friends where they were forced to live a certain way, and it was like just shoved on them, and they were so pressured to fit the perfect Christian box, dress a certain way, always go to church, always do these things. But then when they had the freedom when they were older, they kind of turned away from it, because I think maybe they weren't given the chance to fully understand why
That's right.
why they were doing that. And maybe there are certain things that were forced on them that again were just based on tradition,
Yeah.
but not necessarily based on what's biblical, what's said in the Bible. And if it becomes just a focus on the outward appearance, then we're missing the point. It
Yeah.
has to be about something more than just the outward.
yeah, and also it leads to some consequences. Sometimes people would be without proper explanation, without the proper education about stuff that they're imposing on the child. Sometimes they rebel pa.
Yeah.
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 They kind of
it's-
rebel because wait, I don't understand it. It's not making sense to me. So why can't I just try it?
Yeah.
And then when they try it, they just parang okay, I'll start small, and then
Yeah.
it
grows and it
grows
grows,
and it
yeah.
grows.
And then sometimes like the thinking, since for example apparently those rules are just being imposed and is not really explained well, since these people get more curious, they're gonna say, oh, you just don't want me to have fun, you just don't want me to enjoy my life. And so like they have now a different perception of like, or perspective of what is like true enjoyment or stuff like that, because growing up like these rules are being just thrown at you without like proper explanation.
Can I add to that? Just kind of off of what you guys were saying, because like I mean, growing up Christian. Well, whenever I say that's funny, sorry. No, just like growing up Christian, I'm just remembering my experience, and we like. I mean, I've been Christian. Wow, again, how many times do I have to say that? Sorry. But like, all I knew was rules. Like, you can't do this, you can't smoke, you can't drink. Well, no, kind of like your parents. I think about it. My parents were never like, you can't drink, you can't. They just never really said anything about it. But coming to church, it's all I knew. You can't be bad, basically. And there were all these rules. And the older I got, I didn't necessarily rebel, but I just didn't. I was just like, okay, whatever. Like, right?
Yeah.
And I think at this point where I am in life,
Wow.
No, but at this point, like here, I start to understand a little bit of, specifically like with God and why He set rules in place for us, or not rules. they're not even rules. I think they're really just things. They're there to protect
That's
you,
so good.
Like
not
guidelines.
from enjoying your life,
Yeah.
but to make sure that you are going to live your life to the fullest. If you start, let's say you start smoking a pack of cigs like every like a week, what's gonna happen to you? You're gonna die. Like it's going. Isn't that like lung cancer?
Yeah.
If you start drinking and you gain like you get like a drinking problem,
Liver.
you are going to die. And there's so many other things. If you get into drugs, what you going to do? Die or go to jail? Like, and and so it's not that these, you know, quote unquote, the things we've deemed as rules, because rules kind of have a negative connotation to them too. It's not that these things we've deemed as rules, they're not there to stop you from living your life.
Yep.
They're there to make sure you live your life to the
Yep.
fullest. Because when you look at it and when you realize that, wait a minute, if I do these things, and especially if I do them to excess, like for example with you, you decided not to smoke because you were like, wait a minute, if I get addicted to this, it's gonna affect my future. And so
Yeah.
I think the thing with being a Christian and with us having the rules, and that I'm learning every day, not perfect, I'm
Yeah.
still coming into this understanding every day, is they're not here to make my life worse. They're not here to stop me from having fun. Like, I mean, we can get deeper in, but not today,
Yeah.
not with me. Not with me, different. When we have a pastor here, we can get into more
Go to our
deeper
channel.
things. You know, they're not here to stop me from having fun. God put certain things in place for them to fall into place at the right time, because He wants me to live and come into purpose. But if I fall into these different traps, these different, you know, distractions, it can ruin or it can lessen what could have been. You know what I mean? And so that's how I've started to see rules. I mean, because like if people, I mean, just it's basic rules. Like don't steal, you won't go to jail.
Yeah.
So I guess being Christian, the misconception I think about rules now is, I mean, the people might have is the rules are not here to stop you from living your life. They're here to get you to where you're supposed to be.
Wow, so good.
Thanks. I'm done. I can go now.
That was really great.
Teens.
And
I thought it myself.
for anyone that's
Keep
watching
my
and maybe you do drink or you do smoke, we're not we're not there to like what do you call this, to like condemn you or say, oh my gosh, like you're so messed up and everything, because we also have our own flaws. But I would say a question to consider is, when you continue to live with these things, is it helping you live more freely or to live trapped?
That's good.
Trapped by certain things that you think, oh, I'm free because I can do it, but then you're really just illusioned maybe, and you might be trapped. And again, it's not to condemn, but it's just something to consider. And you know, in the Bible it says all things are permissible, meaning you have the freedom to choose, but not everything is beneficial.
Yeah.
And so something to consider is, okay, before I get into this, is this beneficial for me? And you're going back to boundaries. That's why we have boundaries as Christians, because there are things in our lives that are beneficial, but there are also things that won't help us.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know, like in working out, if you guys have, let's say, you know, quarantine, you think of like working out, or just in the past with working out and getting fit, you have certain set of goals. You avoid certain types of food. I mean,
Just
okay,
we're all living
maybe
our
some
lives.
people avoid. No, but
Just-
ideally,
just-
let's say you want to get like ripped and you want abs and whatever. If you allow yourself to eat chips and chocolate cake every single night,
You will not get that.
it might be good and you might have the freedom to take it, yes, but is it gonna help you become healthier?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's just gonna show on your body. It's just gonna the
Late-
effect
yeah.
of that late night eating is just gonna show on you.
It's gonna show up.
Yeah.
And that's the same really with all of these things out, you know, we have boundaries. Outside of them, okay, you have the freedom to do these things, but then eventually it's gonna affect your health. It's gonna affect the way you walk. And so as Christians, we gotta think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while you guys were talking about it, I was reminded. You said it, like consequences, because you know, in everything that we do, the actions that we take, there are like, you know, consequences to it. So parang it could be good, it could be bad. You know, if we eat healthy, we can live longer. Sometimes we eat bad, or diet's bad, or we're doing we keep on drinking or smoking could lead to us, sometimes, not all the time,
You
to be
confess it?
unhealthy.
We accept you.
You guys are here for me?
I know I'm
It's an
struggling.
8. Sorry to me. But yeah, in everything that we do, like in what you said in Corinthians, na everything's permissible, but not everything's beneficial. So I think that's something really good that we should remember.
Yeah.
And just I feel like in line with that, because first of all, I don't want it to seem like we're ragging on drinking and smoking.
Yeah, no.
We're just using these examples because I feel like these are the most like common ones.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
just like, can I drink? Can I smoke?
Yeah.
We're the other unspoken one. We're not gonna talk about it today. We're gonna keep it PG.
That's for another
That's for a different day.
Yeah.
In line with that, though, how do you think it affects like actually living life? Because again, so growing up, of course, I wasn't perfect, and so there were days I'd come in and I'd feel like, like I'm not ready to be in this space. Like I can't be. I feel dirty, or I can't be here. I'm not my life is not perfect. My life is not good. Like you've said it once before, where it's like people feel like you have to behave, like you have to be right, you have to be perfect before you can come to church, you can come to God. And I think, like, I can be honest, like, I mean, how long have I been on the team? I think 4 years. I don't know. I've been here a little minute. Even just like leading a team, leading the creative team, being part of the team. There have been times where I've just been like, I really do not want to be in this space. I mean, that's just because there's a lot of mental like thoughts, and I think there's a misconception, definitely, that people have. That you just have to be 100% before you can come to God, you can come to church. And I'll say come to God because that's really what it is for me. The more because literally the other day I was literally breaking down. I was like, and the more I get to know God, the more I am part of a community. And it's hard for me. I'm not a very community person, so it's weird. The more I get to know Him, I realize that it's not that. He wants you to come to Him completely imperfect. Like, and the thing is, I'm just gonna say it. He's already seen all your imperfections.
That's right.
And my favorite thing I think about God is He made me. I'll speak about me. He made me despite the imperfect. Like He knew the imperfections before He made me. Like He made me. He was thinking about me, but He's like, oh, but she's a little crazy. But it's okay. I'm gonna make her.
What's that thing you said before? He chose me.
He chose me despite me.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about that, my favorite thing about that is He put purpose. This is one of my favorite things about God, is that He created each and every single one of us with purpose, with life, with reason. Like no one is an accident. And I just, if anyone's, and I feel like we should all share on that too. I'll just end here, which is, you don't have to be perfect before you ever come to God in any way. And what's great is that you don't even have, come to church, it's great, it's fun. But even when you're alone, you can go to Him. You don't have to be around, you don't have to have a pastor. No one needs to pray for you. Getting to know God, I think, is really a personal walk. It's such a personal thing, because when you get to know Him, the way you get to know Him and the way He speaks to you, it's such a different experience.
Want to just feel like sharing it.
Wow.
No, because like you were saying before, being able to go to God.
Yeah.
And like me, I've been helping out or like volunteering in church like for 12 years.
Yeah.
But then like there were so many times like I failed so many times, and there was like one phase that I was like, I did something so bad. Lord, how can I say that I love you? And yet I've done that. And then God was, as in I really was ready to quit, because I was like, you're a hypocrite and
Like
stuff
so,
like that.
you felt ashamed.
Yeah. So I was like, so that's my cry to the Lord, and He was like, I love you. Like, I love you so much. This is not the time for you to get out of my presence or leave my presence or get away from my kind of people, like surrounding you. So I was like, oh, okay, Lord. But then I'm not saying, okay, that like you can just do whatever you want and all. I'm just saying that you can just go as you are to the Lord, and He will just really embrace you, or like wait for you with open arms. Like His love is so good. He loves you so much that He's gonna accept you as you are, but then loves you so much as well that He wouldn't allow you to stay the same.
That's
Right?
true.
I've heard that like from pastors,
Yeah.
Stephen and all.
Yeah.
And it's so true, because I've experienced that. that even when, and I love that as you've put it into light, like, you know, talking leader and stuff like that, they would pray for you, speak life to you, even help you like how to get over that struggle or what. And so like I'm just reminded of how God, the process of that, you know, getting over that thing that I've done and all. You know how like, for example, there's this illustration of like a glass of water that's filled with like dirt and stuff, and then once you put it under like a running faucet, it'll just go out, like come out naturally and all. And I love that. For me, it's not like right away that, you know, God will just take it out. It's a process, like it takes time for you, you know, when the intimacy with Him and or like spending time with Him more, like reading His Word, getting all of these things. I forgot who said it. I think it was Pastor Stephen Furtick. He was like, it's not enough that you like remove like those negative stuff, like maybe a thought or like a struggle or what. That's not enough. You have to replace it with the Holy Spirit, with the Word and all. So like for me, that was the process of how I overcame and stuff like that.
I want to talk about shame. You know, it's the lie of the enemy. You know, he wants you to be ashamed so he can isolate you from the presence of God. That's what he did with Adam and Eve, right? So when they sinned, when they fell short of the glory of God, they were ashamed. So they were covering themselves, and that's what sin does. I mean, that's what the enemy wants when we sin. He wants us to be ashamed because he wants to isolate us. So for me, I've had my crazy moments. Come on, guys, we all had. I'm just being real. But when I started serving, I was just leaning in. I wanted to be part of a community wherein I can belong, people that have the same struggle. And when I joined FNL, I wasn't fully out of the lifestyle yet. But when I got involved in the community, I saw that people are also struggling. And the more I pressed in, the more I lean in, the more I hear stories about people struggling as well. It helped me. It helped me na parang, okay, I'm not alone in this world. I'm not the only one who's struggling with this. So if you're drinking, if you're smoking, or if you're doing a lot of things, you're not. Yeah, the one thing.
Let's call it that.
We're not. Just because we're not drinking or we're not smoking, we're not any better than you. We all have our you know, our own struggles, flaws, all that. So what I'm trying to say is like, for me, as a personal experience, the more I leaned in with God, the more I spend time in His presence, the more I involve myself in a community, that's when things are kind of changing. It's not being accountable to someone, because you don't have to change yourself. It's impossible to change yourself by yourself, right? But I have to change myself. I have to change my lifestyle right away. I think it's very impossible without the grace of God.
You can only go so far, but there comes a point when you just kind of like are left like, I can't do it anymore.
And you're just gonna be frustrated when you fail, right? And then you're just gonna be back at one. You start again. So with God, I love what God said. He loves you as you are. I was reminded also of the story of the prodigal son when he sinned and then he went back to his father. He was preparing a lot of things. I want to say this, blah blah blah. I want to repent. But what the father did was like he welcomed him right away. He didn't say, "Oh, you have to change yourself. You have to do this, blah blah blah. Okay, what did you do with the money that I gave you?" But he welcomed him in the community right away. He celebrated him. No questions asked. I love that so much. It's very powerful.
From there, like this verse, I forgot the reference, but then it says there, it's the goodness of God that brings the people to repentance.
Yeah, it's His kindness. Yeah.
So like,
that's good.
I believe that's really how. It's really also by the grace of God. So it's impossible that we do it by ourselves.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and I think that's why I love that we're having this conversation on what the perfect Christian is, because like you said, the more you got in the community, you realize that everyone's struggling, and I think from an outside, maybe we can have one more question and then we can kind of call it an end for this episode of the Grayspace. There's no such thing as the perfect Christian, and I know that some people have probably been hurt by you know, church or quote unquote perfect Christians. And that's why we're talking about rules and boundaries, because again, you know, Christianity, I think, has a very like uppity, like, you know, you have to be together. So what do you guys want to talk about, like the thought that Christians might be judgmental, or like just that essence? Because I know I mean, let's see, how far can we push this today to I mean, because I have quite a bit of, I have a bunch of gay friends, you know, and some of them will come to church because, well, I mean, because one, the church doesn't again some of them will come to church because, you know, they feel like they'll be judged coming into this space, right? And I mean, I'm sure you guys have friends, like you've shared before, where it's like, you know, you have friends who, quote unquote, they might drink, or they're just like, oh, I don't feel. So let's talk a little bit about that. Even you, Pao, like coming into the space, you said you grew up without restrictions. You were wild.
Not really, but yeah.
For you, before you stepped in, how did you, like, what was that for you? What was that transition like for you?
I believe there's an expectation before you step into this community, that you expect people to judge you once you enter through the doors, and you think that everyone's looking at you for your flaws and everything, and you come in and with all your flaws, with your head bowed down. I mean, like, you can't even look people in the eye and say, oh, I want to be in this space because I'm so broken or I'm so lost. But yeah, coming in, that was the initial thought, that I think, oh, people might judge me for going into church. Parang, am I a hypocrite for doing it? I'm so broken. I have all these thoughts and I've done all these things. And who am I to be in this place with all these perfect people?
Wow.
Yeah.
This perfect people. And do I deserve to be here? And so once you get past that idea, though, and see and feel how the community is welcoming you, especially here, when I began going to New Life, to FNL, you feel this different energy and different welcoming, and you feel that you see. I've seen it firsthand, where you see people are genuine, and they don't see you for who you think you are, but they see you for who you really are, and that's a very refreshing thing to be a part of. And there's just a specific type of expectation that you put on yourself and that you put on people, but that's really not the reality of how the believers of the word of Jesus lives. They don't live like that. And when you go into this place, there's a lot. People are forgiving, and people accept you for who you are. But yeah, like we were saying kanina, they love you enough to
Call you out.
Yeah, to call you out and to not leave you in the place that you started it.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing feeling to just be able to experience.
I just want to add in a little bit, because you were saying, right, your initial reaction when you stepped in was, what do they see wrong with me? And I think so many people feel the same way when they enter into a church or when they enter into a space where there are other Christians. Like, what do they think of me, or does God really accept me? And it just makes me ask, what causes them for that to be their initial response? Why is it negative more than it is positive? Like, instead of people walking thinking, or are they going to celebrate me, or like I'm so glad to be here? Why is it that more often than not, maybe the thought is, what is the brokenness that they're seeing in me, or the thing that I need to change? Like, that's the initial. Isn't it an interesting thing to think about?
Yeah.
And it just makes me think, could it be that they have been hurt by other people who were Christians, and so now when they enter into a space with other Christians, they think, oh, they're just going to be just like those same Christians I met, that were just as judgmental. Or maybe they heard it from another friend when they went to a church and they had a bad experience. So maybe all churches are like this.
Yeah, like
and
the
so it's like,
expectation
yeah,
has
so
been
they
set.
have like some type of history in their head where, okay, this is the way I've been treated or my friends have been treated, so this is the way every Christian I meet will treat every Christian I meet will treat me. And that's why I'm so glad we're having this, because we can hopefully help those of you watching to realize that just because you've had a bad experience with a Christian in the past doesn't mean that every single Christian you meet will be judgmental, will say, get out of here, you're so messed up. Like, we all have baggage, we all have problems. And in fact, in the Bible it says, before you point out someone else's mistake, why don't you deal with yourself first? And so we're all on a journey where we're also like, okay, before I judge you, I'm actually going to try to see how I can improve. Like, I'm not here to point like why you're so messed up. I'm here, first off, like I have stuff I'm dealing with, so I want to grow, I want to get better. But in the process, I'm going to encourage you that, hey, you don't have to stay the same, and we can grow together.
Yeah.
And I just think, I don't know why the analogy of a gym has just been stuck in my head, but like
Maybe that's what you've been doing.
the people who go to the gym initially are not the ones already like that are super fit and super buff. I mean, I'm sure they come to a place where they first started out where like, okay, I want to make certain improvements or changes in myself. That's why I'm going to be here. It's not like, okay, I'm already super strong, super great, so I'll go here.
That's good.
And sometimes though, that's the analogy we have in church, where I have to be super spiritual, super, you fit in all the check boxes, and then I'll be here. But no, it's the opposite. You come in with your baggage, you come in with your extra weight, you come in with what you don't know, and once you're in, that's where you're going to grow. And that's why it's on us as Christians, and to let people know that this is the space we're creating, and it's not the space of us condemning you or looking down on you, but it's a space where there is grace to grow.
I love that. When you made the analogy about the gym, and then also like for me as a dancer, when you're entering a workshop, you're entering there because you want to learn something. You're not super good right away, you're not super buff right away, but you're there because you want to grow. You want to grow, right? And I want to hit on something that you said about correcting and calling out. So I learned this from Pastor Steven. He said that the best place to actually speak to someone's life is by relationship. Imagine me, Princess, if we're not close, and I'm just gonna say you're doing like crazy stuff, and I'm just gonna say you're a sinner.
With the
You're a
fingers.
sinner, all that stuff.
Without relationship.
You'll just be like
who are you?
you'll take offense right from that. Like, who are you? You don't even know me. But once you get to know someone on a deeper level, when you know that someone cares for you, when you know that his intentions for you are good. Like with me, with Pastor Steven, he would so many times he would call me out about a lot of things, but I would know that he would just he wants to do that because he wants to correct me, and it's coming out of love. Sometimes we have to check our hearts. If we're the conviction, are we coming out of love, or we just wanna hurt someone with a word? It's a relationship that's important before you can actually speak to someone's life. Like you said, like with your friends, that if we're just gonna judge them right away when they entered without having a relationship, they just be turned off. And it goes back to what you said. Now, if it happened here in this church, and if it happened in this church, it will just spill over the next church that is going. So there's like a pain, there's like a trauma. Na parang he's just gonna project when he goes to a different place. So
that's why we're here, and that's hopefully what you guys get from this.
Can I just add something to that? Like that. I just realized the concept of of a perfect Christian, or at least the perceived concept, would mean that you've put God at a cap. Because in the Bible it says His mercies are new every day, and you're gonna live really, I pray you live really long. Well, amen. I'm praying long life over you. But if you become, or if you are a perfect Christian at like 22, that means there's nothing left for you to learn because you've learned it all. And then what's the point of God? Because realistically, you're gonna backslide, or not backslide like you're gonna like, but you're gonna mess up. You're gonna sin at some point. Like you might tell a lie one day, you might like piss off your sister like you're gonna be rude to someone one day. And so I think the concept of the perfect Christian would mean there would be no need for God, or there would be no need for Jesus to be there with you because you're perfect. It's like Cosmo and Wanda. You guys know Cosmo and Wanda?
Yes.
Because
Who's
technically,
it allowed to watch that?
no, because Timmy needed them. Timmy needed them because his life was miserable.
Yeah.
But then there was an episode where they left because his life was technically perfect. But then, funnily enough, in that episode, when they left, that was a scheme of like one of the pixies to get him to lose his fairy godparents. And that's the funniest analogy you can say. But I just remember that and.
The Mexican fairy.
Yeah, that was the trick, so that he would like lose the OGs and like he would be left alone and he would be left, like without any help and any like friend. And so I guess that's just the thing with being. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist because we need His grace every single day.
Yeah.
At 90, I'm still amen. At 90, I'm gonna be kicking and strong, and I'm still gonna need His grace, and I'm still gonna need to learn, and I'm still gonna need to be better, and I'm still gonna need to be kinder, and that's kind of it for me.
So, like, the bottom line would be the perfect Christian doesn't exist.
Yes.
It doesn't
It's a
exist.
journey.
We're all
Perfect
imperfect.
We're all imperfect.
Is the imperfect Christian.
Let's end it there now. Off the video.
right.
The video.
Yeah, so I hope you guys got something from this episode.
We're going to be leaving a link to our Curious Cat account, which is a way you can send us questions, thoughts, hate mail, whatever. Hey, you know what? If you feel a little crazy, you can send us prayer requests and we can pass it on. Like we, as a team, as a church, we will pray for you, we believe with you. You can follow us on social media. But yes, Curious Cat account if you want to send us questions anonymously, and we will look to bring it up in the next few episodes. What else is there? We have a bunch of things. We're part of the youth ministry. I'm just talking. You guys can add.
Yeah, go.
We're part of the youth ministry at New Life Christian Center in Alabang, Philippines. This is called New Life Maine now,
Yes.
by the way.
New Life Philippines.
Woo! This is called Friday Night Live. We are a part of Youth Collective, which is
Yes.
our youth ministry, and we do so much. We have like youth midweeks
question.
in the middle of the week, which is basically when you can join our community. We just hang out on Zoom and we talk, and we talk about everything. Maybe not the thing we're not talking about today, but we talk about a lot of things. What else can we talk about today?
I got a question for
Okay,
y'all
I was
that
running out of stuff.
I'd love for you guys to
Favors like
I was like,
out of
I'm
breath.
comment down or leave anonymously. What are certain questions you have about Christianity that have been normal for you, but then you question why do we do this?
Wow.
And because there's certain things like tradition, right? Earlier, like I would dress up wearing super formal clothes. It turns out it was just tradition. It's not really specifically mentioned in the Bible. So what are things in Christianity that you have seen that you question, like, why do we do this? What's the whole point of this? Leave it down in the comments.
We left homework.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's tackle about it.
Tackle.
That's it. Well, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in with us. We
Thank
hope you
you.
have a great day.
Again,
Grayspace.
Grayspace.
We've done this too much. Like we're a
Grayspace!